This is a 2022 Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro, painted in electric lime metallic, which is a TRD Pro trim exclusive paint. This is a third generation truck. It's been with us since the 2016 model year and was updated in 2020. For 2022, the Tacoma did see a few changes, and some of those were specific to the TRD Pro. It was lifted. It's got new Fox shocks, new control arms, and new wheels too, because hey, why not? The TRD Pro is one of 6 trims offered in the Tacoma for 2022, and in terms of price at least, it is the top trim of the lineup, above the SR, SR5, TRD Sport, TRD Off-Road, Limited, and then this TRD Pro. There is a Trail Edition Tacoma, but technically speaking, that's not its own trim. It is a package based off the SR5 trim. And to get that package, you do have to have the double cab and the shorter 5-foot bed. But despite all those trims and all those off-road friendly names, the TRD Pro is indeed the off-roadiest. My name is Robin Warner, by the way, an experienced engineer and magazine editor, and welcome. I review all kinds of cars, from a $25,000 Ford Maverick to a $425,000 Rolls-Royce Cullinan. I'll happily jump into Honda Accords, BMW M3s, and Porsche 911 GT3s. And I have fun every time. Please subscribe and join me. So I mentioned price. Well, a 2-wheel drive 4-cylinder SR Tacoma starts under $28,500, but the base price for this, the TRD Pro, is just under $48,000, $47,920. And because this Tacoma is equipped with a 6-speed automatic transmission instead of the standard manual transmission, it cost $50,625. And finally, this one has several accessories, which puts the out-the-door price at $52,407. I'd be happy to show you what some of those accessories are, as well as go around and inside the truck in a bit more detail. Let me pull over and do that now. All right, let's take a closer look at this 2022 Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. Aside from the decals all over this truck, there are a lot of ways you can see that this is a TRD Pro. First of all, you've got this hood scoop, and you've got this decal, and right here it says TRD Pro on the decal. You've got this TRD front skid plate under here, and if you look down low, it says TRD. Also, just under the headlights, it says TRD Pro right there. You also have a custom grille and some other tricks here in the front to signify. Looking at this car in profile, you'll notice that the double cab short wheelbase version is the only way to get a TRD Pro Tacoma. So that gives you the longer cab, shorter bed. Also, you've got TRD Pro stamped right into the sheet metal here. These are special for the TRD Pro. These are 16-inch aluminum wheels, 6 lugs right there. And these are all-terrain Goodyear Territory tires on these 16-inch wheels. So you have lots of sidewall to work with here, and a nice aggressive tread pattern and rubber compound to help you get over some different surfaces. Also, let's take a closer look behind the tire. The Tacoma TRD Pro runs on 2.5-inch Fox shocks right there, and a forged aluminum upper control arm, which is not at all subtle. TRD badge right there. This is lifted 1.5 inches on the front axle compared to other Tacomas, and lifted 1/2 inch in the rear axle. So you have more suspension travel, more ground clearance, and this stronger modified suspension on top of that. So there aren't any factory options on the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro to speak of, but as I mentioned, you can get a lot of accessories, and this particular truck has several of them. Let me show you what they are. Cast aluminum running boards, a bed step, the bed lighting kit, there, and up there. Door edge guards, these guys right here, a TRD air filter, door sill protectors, and they say Tacoma on them, truck bed D-rings, and mini tie downs with hooks here and here. Looking at the truck from the back, obviously it's a 4x4 Tacoma TRD Pro. You do have gas struts in the tailgate. So it opens like this, nice and soft. How lovely. And aside from the accessories I showed you, you do have AC power right there, a little bit of storage right there, and some slots for 2x6s right here and here. And beneath that, you do have 4-pin and 7-pin slots for towing, class 4 towing hitch, and there's no exhaust back here. It's off to the side right here. The payload capacity of the Tacoma TRD Pro is not that much by today's standard, 1,155 pounds, and towing's decent at 6,400 pounds. But actually, this particular truck is a little bit less than that. It's got one of those fun little orange stickers on the door sill, so it's actually slightly less than that. But for most duties of a truck like this, I'm sure it's more than adequate. All right, let's check out the inside. Being the double cab, we've got plenty of space back here. It's not luxurious, but it's spacious enough. I am 5'11" or 181 centimeters tall, and I have the seats, the front seats, set up to be comfortable for me. And as you can see, I've got, you know, 1/16 of an inch, millimeter or two of leg room, and I do have more than a 90-degree bend in my knees, so I wouldn't want to do long trips back here. But you know, seat bottom isn't that low, so it's reasonably comfortable there. I do have a couple cup holders up here, and you know, usual switches in here, and I even have a little bit of headroom. You do not have a center armrest to fold down or anything like that, but if I hop back out of the truck, you do have a bit of storage. Lovely, lovely. And on the passenger side, you get this space here. Anyway, let's check out the front. Again, this is more purposeful than luxurious, and I don't think anyone would expect otherwise. You do get these nice floor mats, Tacoma TRD Pro. The driver's seat is power adjustable, and you do have a little lumbar support as well, but the passenger seat is manually adjusted. You have the typical controls here on the door, and some more stuff here, traction control off. Here's truck bed lights, those types of things. You do have real gauges inside the Tacoma TRD Pro with a small information display in between those two real gauges. That's all well and good for me. You do also get this center console touchscreen right here with many, many functions. Beneath that, it is dual zone climate control and heated seats. And beneath that are some fun little tricks. This is the rear window in the just above the tailgate. Fun. You also get USB charge port right there, and Qi wireless charging. The pad is right down there. Also, a couple of cup holders, some more storage space right here, and some more storage down low. If we look up, there's actually more to show you than usual. Yes, you do get a moonroof. You get a manual privacy panel right there, and the adjustments to use it are right there. But right next to that, this is multi-terrain select and crawl control, also your rear diff locker. So that stuff is located up here. Also, if you look over here, here's your multi-terrain monitor right there. So you have several cameras on this truck to get a good view of what's immediately around it. And then you have these options right here on how you can get over different off-roading terrain. So to use multi-terrain select, you have to be in 4 low, which brings us down here. Yes, we also have a transfer case here, 2-wheel drive, 4 high, 4 low. First, let's put it in 4 low. And to do that, I have to first put it in 4 high, now neutral, now 4 low. Now that I am in 4 low, I can turn on mud terrain select, and you can see I can choose between mud and sand, loose rock, mogul, rock and dirt, and just straight rock. So those are your options right there. Also, you can instead use crawl control. I'm gonna go ahead and put the car in drive, select crawl control, and now I can select the speeds I want with that same dial right there. So this has a lot of systems in place to give you aids to help you get through different off-roading situations. Fun stuff. Anyway, I spent the vast majority of my time in this truck on the roads. Let's get back to the roads. All right, let's dig into the powertrain. We've got a 3.5 liter V6 making 278 horsepower and 265 pound-feet of torque. You do have both port and direct injection, and variable valve timing on both the intake and exhaust valves. But really, by a lot of measures these days, this is a very old school engine. I mean, there's no electric anything, there's no 48 volt anything, there's no hybrid anything. So that in of itself kind of makes it a little bit more old school. Plus, this is a 6-speed automatic transmission, not an 8, 9, or 10-speed automatic transmission. There's nothing wrong with that. 6 speeds is plenty for all the work, but it doesn't help fuel economy, which I'll talk about in just a second. That 6-speed automatic also adds over $2,700 to the price, which is a big jump to go from a 6-speed manual to a 6-speed automatic. But that's not the whole story. The automatic transmission actually comes with several other features, like the multi-terrain system and the crawl control and stuff like that, and a few other things as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a list on the screen so you can see. So getting the automatic transmission is getting you a differently equipped truck. We do have, of course, a 4-wheel drive system that offers 2-wheel drive, 4 high and 4 low. And this TRD Pro model also gives us an electronically locking rear differential and a catback exhaust. And I like it. You know, I like the old schoolness of it. It's simpler. It's non-turbocharged, so we have nice linear buildup of throttle response. There's nothing amazing about it. You know, it's not the smoothest V6 I've ever driven, and I will admit the throttle map is a little bit more aggressive than I'd like, so throttle tip-in gives you a lot of acceleration right away, but generally speaking, it works really well. And if you want to do trucky type things, a simpler, older school engine with fewer parts and fewer things to get super hot is nice and encouraging. Alas, there is a downside to all that simplicity, and that is fuel economy. You do get 18 miles to the gallon in the city, 22 miles to the gallon on the highway, 20 combined. Now, that is better than the manual transmission car, so that's another benefit. You only get 17 in the city, 20 on the highway, 18 combined with that. But none of those numbers are outstanding. You know, the other trucks these days, especially the really small ones like the Ford Maverick and the Hyundai Santa Cruz, do better than that, as does the Honda Ridgeline and indeed some variants of the Ford Ranger as well. But if you're going TRD Pro, something tells me that fuel economy isn't your top priority anyway. And while yes, fuel economy is important, it's not very much fun, especially since we have a catback exhaust. It's much better to see how well this thing accelerates. Let me show you that right now. All right, everybody, time for an acceleration test. I do have the transmission in sport mode, and I do have the traction and stability control off, and I do currently have it in 2-wheel drive. So we'll see. If we break a lot of traction in the rear, maybe I'll come to a stop and put it in 4-wheel drive, but let's see what it does in 2-wheel drive. All right. Come to a complete stop, bit of brake torque, right around 2,000 RPM, and off we go. Nah, not much wheel spin at all, even with the traction control off. But yeah, you know, good pull. It's weird to hear those big gaps in the shifts. This is a 6-speed automatic transmission, and you know, these days, 8 speeds is almost the minimum, but yeah, man, yeah, totally good. This is, you know, 3.5 liter V6 naturally aspirated, 278 horsepower, 265 pound-feet of torque, and all that pulls this truck along really well. We didn't lose much of any traction at all. We got a little squeak out of the rear tires when we launched, and that was with full brake torque and everything like that. So if you're in a high muse surface, a dry, warm, paved surface, you don't have to worry about being in 2 versus 4-wheel drive. But yeah, totally reasonable acceleration. Listen, trucks go around corners, even off-roady trucks. They have to go around corners on the pavement, and it's good to know how well they do. So let me show you that right now. All right, everybody, time for a handling test in this Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. I know, I'm not expecting much, but you know, you got to go around corners, even in trucks, even in TRD Pro trucks. And I do have the car in sport shifting. I have the transmission in sport, and I do have the traction control and stability control off, all those things. So let's see how it goes. Yeah, we get up and moving. Okay, that's no issue. Not a lot of grip, but it was completely reasonable. And actually, body control was pretty good. Oh boy. Lots of understeer there. The front end isn't terribly responsive, and no, there's not a lot of grip. But again, body control was actually pretty good. So I'm so far pleasantly surprised with how this is behaving. Considering the low levels of grip, everything else is well controlled, well behaved. The steering is light, and it's not fast reacting, and it's not terribly precise either. All those things I think would be expected considering what this is made to do, but all of it behaves completely reasonably, and it's totally stable. And again, this truck is keeping itself in pretty darn good control. Yeah, it was kind of fun actually. But okay, yeah, much more common that when you're on the road in this truck, it'll be for more mundane tasks, just getting from point A to point B, or maybe cruising a bit on the interstate. And here is where all those off-roading chops help us out, because this is a very comfortable thing to drive on the road. It rides really nicely. First of all, of course, the suspension isn't overly stiff. That makes it easy. You've got a lot of tire sidewall to work with to absorb a lot of little bumps and heaves in the road. It's not the nicest handling thing on the road, of course. It is a small truck after all, but it is plenty comfortable on roads like this or on the interstate. I did a test there. Let me show you that. All right, guys, time for a stint on the interstate. See how this Tacoma TRD Pro handles it. How loud is it? How easy is it to use the adaptive cruise control, which yes, this has. And yeah, get a sense of the ride and all those fun things. Adaptive cruise control is set to go with traffic right around 78 miles an hour. The 3.5 liter V6 is spinning just under 2,000 RPM at this speed. But even at that lower engine speed, it's pretty audible. This is not the quietest engine out there. It's not bad. It sounds perfectly fine, but it's also not the best sound in the world. So that is something that may get a little bit drony after a while. Also, the ride of this, it's comfortable. It's not harsh, but it is a bit fluttery, a bit bouncy, a little bit unsettled. And I think what we're feeling as much as anything is the knobbiness of the tires, a lot of sidewall, and the soft suspension all combined together. So all the things that make this more comfortable off-road make it a little bit less comfortable on the interstate. Also, road noise is pretty high. I can hear semi-trucks when we pass them quite well. Wind noise isn't too bad relative to everything else, and that actually surprises me considering we have the front skid plate, the hood scoop, and all the other bits and attachments, you know, the rails on the side, all of that stuff wouldn't help wind noise, but it's actually pretty decent. And you know, tire noise is also a touch on the high side, but all things considered, if you're in the right frame of mind and you're going to the right kind of place, this is a perfectly pleasant truck to be in. And you know, you could very well be off to having a lot of fun in it. And I think that would make it worth it. Plus, the driving aid systems are working just fine. The center console touchscreen works well, easy to use, easy to read, and we do have a lot of conveniences in here: Qi wireless charging, Bluetooth, etc., etc. So yeah, it's all in all perfectly pleasant, but in terms of like the core comforts of a car in the interstate, this is behind. And it's also perfectly reasonable that it would be behind, perfectly accepted. If you're going to the right place, great car in the interstate. Finally, we can get to the core of this truck. With all this extra kit that Toyota puts on the TRD Pro, you get a 36.4 degree approach angle, 24.7 degree departure angle, and 26.6 degree breakover angle. Obviously, the fact that Toyota lifted this thing, added the new shocks and all those things didn't hurt. And all-terrain tires on top of that, 4-low gearing available. I had to give this thing a try off-road. Now let me say right off the bat that this is pretty minor off-roading, but it's more than nothing, so let me show you that right now. Okay, I've arrived at my little off-roading course, and I'm going to briefly put the car in 4-low, and I'm going to use multi-terrain select just real quick, and I've got a POV camera to show you exactly what I'm doing. So first thing I'm going to do is put the car in 4 high, and you have to get it in drive just a little bit so it recognizes 4 high. Okay, now neutral, 4 low. Now I'm in 4 low, and you can see that traction control is off and all those kinds of fun things. Now I'm going to turn on multi-terrain select, and I'm going to switch it to mud and sand. Well, actually, let's just do rock and dirt. One other thing. So I'm going to turn on the multi-terrain monitor. So that's this camera button right here. And here's what's cool about this. You can see that not only do I have the different cameras, but I also have this real nice attitude of the truck set up. So I think that's a nice little feature to have. All right, let's go. Yeah, I mean, this is easy for the truck. There's nothing going on. Being in 4 low, it's having no problems with moving around. There's plenty of suspension travel to go over some bumps and things like that. Yeah, non-issue. I expected this to be very easy for this truck, and it is. So going down that hill was easy. Let's see if going up it is just as easy. Whoa. Yeah, no problem. Off-roading in the Tacoma TRD Pro, success. So what do we have in this 2022 Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro? We've got something that definitely looks the part. The all-terrain tires with the aggressive tread pattern, the TRD labeled front skid plate, the aluminum crossbars, all the TRD Pro decals everywhere. It's cool stuff. But we also have legitimate kit here. That forged aluminum upper control arm, the Fox shocks, all that kind of stuff. It all adds up to the same thing. Something that's really properly capable off-road. But luckily, we didn't lose much of any of the usefulness that a Tacoma truck offers. We still have a Class 4 trailer hitch. We can tow over 6,000 pounds. We have, decent payload capacity, and you have accessories like all those different hooks and that little step to get into the truck bed and make it really easy to load and haul things with this truck as well. You've got decent comfort and decent space for 4 people, 5 in a pinch, and you even have little things like AC power in the back to plug in things if you need. So all the useful things that a truck can do, this can do, but then it can also, if you really want to go out and play, you can go out and play as well. So I think that makes this a really cool, interesting combinations of things. Plus, if you want to stand out a little, electric lime paint certainly doesn't hurt. I'm Robin Warner. Thank you for watching. And if you are still watching, I would really appreciate it if you liked this video. That does help me out a lot. Okay, goodbye. Old school.